how much you charge per video. Can you share the pricing model that you have right now? And like what businesses do you work with, like at a minimum?
There's different ways to do it, but our business model is the retainer model. So yeah, our retainers go from like, $10,000 a month all the way up to, $100,000 a month. So we're in that range, but would I recommend for an agency just starting off to do it that way? Probably not.
Auntie?
John?
We have a guest today with us. We have Tyler Stephens. Hello, Tyler.
How's it going? Pleasure to be on, guys.
Thank you for coming.
The pleasure is us. Thank you for coming. We have met Tyler and the mastermind group that we went. He did a really good presentation there. And I wanted to bring him on the podcast because he's a really, really nice guest, and he knows about content creation, which is like one of the most important things in media buying. And so hi Tyler, can you introduce yourself? Tell us more about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Tyler Stephens. Basically, I've been in the e-com space now since 2016. We first got started. We started with print on demand, Etsy, and then drop shipping till about 2018. And then 2018, 2019 is when we pivoted into the agency model, where basically we had a lot of connections because all the money that we made in drop shipping, we reinvested into like masterminds like the War Room and Cartel's mastermind, a lot of big masterminds. So we met a lot of good people from those events. So we had a big connection of people in the e-com space that were heavy hitters. And then we decided to start the agency where we are, able to, really leverage the skill that we are the best at, which was creating video ads. And then we started making video ads for a lot of big brands like Shine Armor, Miracle Sheets, DFO, like Ontel, a lot of ads seen on TV products back when we first started. And that kind of like jump started us into like the agency. And then, essentially 4.5-5 years now it's probably been since we started. And now the rest is kind of history. Now we're working with a lot of big brands in the e-com space, a lot of heavy hitters. People are spending a lot of money on Facebook ads, and we're focused solely on the direct response video ad creation for those brands.
Okay, that's really cool. I want to it is really important what you said about reinvesting on masterminds and War Room and stuff. Like, what was the impact of this? Because I'm guessing you're not doing any ads for you to close any clients. How do you get clients? Did that help you?
Yeah, so I mean, for one, back when we were first starting off, obviously there's a lot of shiny object syndrome, like you're seeing everyone blowing up, buying Lambos, doing all this cool stuff, right? But, for us, looking back on it now, I was super grateful that we made the decision to stay dialed in on the business side and not changing our lifestyle immediately at the beginning, and more reinvesting it back into events, connections, continued education, because those connections that we established back then are some of our best friends right now, and some of our biggest partners, and we're actually partnered with them on companies and stuff like that as well, which is an interesting thing. And if we wouldn't have done that, we probably wouldn't have been where we are right now. But now when it comes to client acquisition and stuff like that, currently right now we're running paid ads. We've just started paid ads probably around 6 months ago because of a lot of different reasons, but we're launching a different offer and stuff. But traditionally, up until this year, everything that we have done has been from speaking on stages or referrals or word of mouth. So all the big clients that we got, it's from those sources. And just as of recently, paid ads has been a new thing that we started on doing.
Okay, that's really nice. Cool. And I want to ask you another thing, because there is a lot of debate in this world? Like, okay, do you focus on e-commerce, or do you go the agency route? Because there are many paths, and as you said, there is the signing object syndrome, where like you want to do all the things. You want to do SEO, you want to do like Facebook ads, you want to do like everything, because you know everything, you are in the space. How did you pivoted from Etsy and print-on-demand to doing the agency? Because many people actually pivot away from the agency model.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's different for everyone. For us, like drop shipping was where we made most of our money back then. But the issue was with drop shipping was, it was highly volatile. Products would die off. You'd put effort into like building brands, and then they'd die off, and you'd have to move on to something new. Unless you had a lot of capital to actually, create a unique product and fulfill it like in the United States. You're kind of just battling. It's very competitive with other people. So for us, the agency was like the way that we could really double down on what we were the best at, and build something that could be in the long term valuable, and something that wouldn't die off, something that we could put all our effort into and build over the course of multiple years, which essentially is exactly what we did. And I think that leads exactly into the question you asked when it comes to shiny object syndrome. I think people should really stick to and leverage the thing that they're the best at. If it is media buying, then media buying should be it. But if it's, creating video ads, creating an agency is the best, thing to do probably. And there's obviously different ways to do it, but the personal service-based business model at the beginning is the highest leverage thing that you can do, as well as like the least risky, because it's all based on sweat equity, right? So you're basically doing something that you're good at, fulfilling on that service, and then upselling that service and making X amount margin on it, right? So if you could do that by yourself, and then as you scale up, you just keep stacking. You got to build out a good team. You have to have good systems, all these other variables and stuff. But basically, it's the same exact thing that you're doing at the beginning. You're just doing it at a bigger scale now. So there's little risk there. There's very little risk, right? So if you're just starting off, I would recommend going the personal service-based route. I think it's the best route, even coming from the drop shipping direction and stuff like that. But there's definitely people who have done it the other way around too, where they've, stuck with drop shipping and went into e-com and, did all this stuff and, have built way bigger companies than we have as well. But that's just my personal experience.
Yes. And have seen you have started the VisCap Media with Cody, right? So when you started the VisCap Media, did you already make money from dropshipping? You were again with Cody. How this partnership started? Did you have
so
me and
Cody were partners in college. Basically when we got started in e-commerce, we were partners already. So drop shipping, Etsy, all that kind of stuff, or print on demand, we were already partners. So during drop shipping, we had some capital for sure, not a ton, because we were still learning, but we were doing, a couple $100,000 months with drop shipping at that point. And then products would die off and we'd hop onto something new. So we're in between brands. So going into VisCap, we had capital for sure, but it wasn't a huge lever. It was more of just, we were able to get the equipment that we needed, build out, office space and stuff like that, but that's it.
Yeah,
nice. That's great. And I want to ask, because in VisCap Media, you said that in the agency model, you just do the same thing, but at scale. But the agency model have this issue, right now, position change as you scale. So right now, what is your day like in VisCap? Do you do the copywriting? Are you managing all the things? What are you doing inside the organization?
Yeah, so for me personally, I'm focused solely on sales and marketing. We have a small sales team as well, so I'm more focused on the closing of the deals, more or less. And then also focusing on marketing. So like I'm running the paid ads myself, building out like the new videos, building out like the marketing processes and the sales processes, and then also building out the a lot of the presentations that we're giving and the new talks and stuff. So like last week I just did one, so that's kind of like what's most of my time is spent on now. Actually, in operations, Cody's focused solely on customer success and fulfillment. So he's focused on post sale, managing the clients, which we also have a team that does that as well, like creative strategists, account managers for depending on what offer they get and stuff like that. But yeah, and then we have copywriters, obviously, editors. Like the whole team is built out under Cody, but he's just running that team, and then I'm just focused on the front end.
Yes, nice. I saw in the presentation that you did in the mastermind, you had a really good process of hiring people. And in one of the podcasts that you have talked, you said like it was a point where you were having like 45 employees, but you decided to scale back down to 20. I don't know how many you are right now and what are the numbers. Did you go like a lot of people and you went back to less people? What was like the struggle? Why you decided to go down?
Yeah, so for sure. So I mean like there's a lot of problems. Like at one point we were up to like 55, I think, W-2 employees like in Las Vegas. So that means like full-time employees. And then with contractors and stuff, like probably another 60, like editors and copywriters. And the issue was that we had this gigantic office in Vegas. It was, 30,000 square feet, air conditioned, like we had a bunch of sets, and it was like $29,000 a month. And then we also had this whole team in there where, we had these 50 people that were working full time. The issue was like our systems weren't perfected for one. And then two, there's this dynamic of like having everyone in one place, whereas it turned into like much more like corporate. And there was a lot more of like personal problems, like people like fighting with each other, secret Slack channels, things like that caused a lot of problems. So it actually set us back more than it helped us doing those things and having that many people. And right now we're probably around like, I don't know the number exactly, but I think it's like 15 or 20 and stuff. And we're doing, we're way more efficient. Everyone's way more happy. We got rid of the office. Now most of our team is still in Vegas, but, we're doing everything like remote and stuff. And it's way better. And we're also saving, 30 grand a month on the office too.
Yeah, that's great.
That makes sense. Yeah, everything in US probably like is way too expensive. Yeah. So you don't think that the productivity when you are in the office increases? Have you noticed that? Because there's a theory around that, like the Elon Musk theory.
Yeah, I don't think personally, I don't think it really changed much for us. But it's hard to say. My perspective is probably a little bit skewed just because we started off in the office from day one. Like we had an office from 2019 up until 2023. So essentially like we were in the office the whole time. So our systems were built based on being in person. The culture was built from being in person. And then we transitioned to this, remote structure where a lot of our team is still together in the same town. But it's more, remote now. So, I would say it's not as important probably as people think. And especially for hiring good quality talent, you're a lot more limited when you're in one place. So if we were only looking for people only in Las Vegas for creative strategists, we were capped on like the quality of the people that we could find. But now that we're able to, branch out into other cities in America, we're able to find much higher quality people easier and quicker, which helps a lot when you're scaling up and stuff like that. So, I mean, if someone's, starting off at the beginning, like a lot of people think, the first thing they should do is get an office. That's what we thought. And that's what we did. Looking back on it now, it probably wasn't necessary. Like you could probably, scale up to, 6 figures a month easy, without an office, and even before like you could scale up even higher. Like I mean, there's you know, a lot of the huge agencies out there are, you know, doing, you know, multi-million-dollar months, and they're you know, everything's remote. So it just comes down to the systems and the processes that you have in place. But and everything's changing too, right? So like people are looking for remote positions now that you're hiring versus before, you know, it was a standard to have to go into the office, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That
Are you guys remote?
makes sense.
Yes, we are remote.
Yeah.
The e-commerce thing, it cannot be remote, as you can imagine, because like we do also print on demand, we produce the stuff ourselves, so we have like a mini factory, so it cannot be remote, but the agency model and the podcast, like everything is remote right now, so this is the case. Like I also rechecked the presentation you did, because like it was really like I really liked also the structure that how you structure when you have a lean team and when you have like a team like with more people, so you can pump out like more creatives. And I really liked the rise like creatives that you did. Like it was amazing, like, and how you actually like explained like the structure behind it. I really liked it. But the most admirable thing that I think that many people cannot actually digest is how you can actually close a client like Rise or a big client. And since you are on the, like, this is your responsibility, please tell us more about that. How do you close these clients?
Yeah, so Rise, for example, like we got them in March of 2022. So like 2.5-3 years ago, something around there. And basically when we started with them, they weren't running any video ads. So they were much smaller than what they are now, much smaller, which was a big thing. So like it's not like we closed Rise as like a huge client right off the bat. Essentially, like we built Rise into like what they were essentially. So when we started with Rise, they were essentially like our retainer was very small. It was only like $10,000 a month. And they're getting a handful of videos. But like the thing that worked was, I mean, there's a lot of different combinations. Like obviously Rise has a really good product, a lot of different benefits they can tap into. They have a really good team. And then also like at that point in time, we were just really good at like we were able to make the right videos for them at the right time. And then it just started taking off. And then from there, it just grew gradually like every month. And then now like Rise is like we're in the area of like they're paying us like 6 figures a month for video ads, and we're making like, you know, about 150 unique ads a month for them. And now they have an internal team as well, and we're kind of like, you know, battling back and forth between like performance, you know, between our team and then their internal team. And that's a big thing that's driving a lot of growth. So yeah, does that answer your question? So when it comes to closing them, I guess the point is that like we tried it the other way around too. Like we've attempted to close big retainers, like, you know, $70,000-$80,000 a month retainers from the front end, and you could definitely close them for sure. It's not that complicated to close them, especially if you have the sales process down, the authority and case studies and testimonials to back it all up and stuff like that. Like you can close those deals all day. It's the problem is actually like having them be successful and stuff. So from what we've seen is the best way is to close deals on a smaller level and then build them into bigger partners over time.
That's great. So because this way you have more leverage in the relationship, so you can say like you can show them where you took them and where you brought them. So in the process of creating videos, do you get the insights like how the videos did? Do you go to the account inside to see in the ad account and see how these videos performed, to analyze and to make the new videos?
Yeah, so it's a requirement for everyone who works with us. We have access to the data in some sort of way. You know, if it's an ad account, if it's through you know, their attribution tool, or if it's like a Looker Studio setup. It's different for everyone, but it's required to have data. Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So,
What metrics do you track?
Well, it's different for every partner, but I mean, the most important thing to determine at the beginning is like obviously the point when a creative goes from creative testing into scaling mode. So is it a couple $1,000s to spend a day? Is it X amount of purchases? Is it the 50 conversions a week that Facebook recommends? Also, what are the stop losses? Like when do you kill an ad? Is it after 3 to 4, target CPA and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's immediately right off the bat, the thing that varies the most in between brands. And obviously there's different strategies for when testing ads compared to when you're scaling an ad. Typically, like we like to recommend that, all of the ads that we create are tested inside of like ad set, budget, versus like CPOs and stuff like that. So we're able to force spend behind each creative, because we have a lot of hypotheses behind like our ads. So our goal is like to really be able to get all the data back in like an even playing field for every single ad. So we can determine why that ad did or did not work, versus just running things and killing things, right off the bat and stuff. Like we rather put equal amount of spend before we decide. And then obviously, I mean, the typical like, hook rate, hold rate, like percentage of watch times, like it's important for sure, but it's less important until you have a winning ad. Once we have a winning ad, then we start analyzing like those certain metrics, determining, what we could do to start building variations. But we really don't look at like the first party data until we have an actual winning ad. So we don't use those metrics to determine if an ad is a winner or not. Those are solely based on, the purchase data and stuff like that. But once we have an ad that's working, then we start, looking at those metrics to determine how we can make variations and iterations off the winners.
Yeah, that's good. And I want to understand, like, have you found like cases where you give the ads because you are doing only the creative part, the videos, you are not doing media buying, which is what we are doing. Have you found like cases where you gave like the creatives and the videos, but the performance team that is doing the media buying has totally mismanaged them? They didn't test them the right way. They haven't done a good job. What is like the role of the media buyer for these creatives to work, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge part of it, which is honestly why we try to sway in the direction of working with larger brands. At least brands that are, spending, $500,000 a month or above. Ideally, like most of our partners are like, the $1 million a month area plus, or higher. So when you get to a level like that, typically the media buying team or the performance team, or even if it's just a singular media buyer still, has a pretty good idea on how to run the account. So they have their testing strategies down. They have their scaling strategies down. So when we hand off ads to like Rise, for example, we're not really questioning how they're doing the media buying just because of they're already really good at it, right? So with smaller brands now that we've worked with, brands that are maybe spending less than $200,000 a month or less than $100,000 a month, you get a lot of uncertainty because budget is more limited. So their testing strategies are typically, a little bit more scarce and stuff. Plus, maybe they haven't had a lot of things working, or maybe they just had, 1 or 2 ads that have worked historically that got them to the point where they can spend, $100,000 a month or something like that. So with the smaller brands, for sure, it is pretty much just based on like experience as well as like budget, I would say. But with the larger brands, which is if you're pushing towards that, working with those types of clients, like you really don't have to worry about it.
Have you been in a situation where like, not now that you are working with all these the big brands that they are doing like $1 million per month, where you started VisCap Media and you were like in a lower base, you were having lower ticket clients, to think like, okay, we are charging this amount for the videos. Maybe a good vertical to go, it's like to do also media buying. So it's another way to scale the business by offering a different service, which is really complementary with what you are doing. Have you thought that, and why like you rejected it, or maybe you have done it and it didn't work?
Yeah, so we've done it. We did it before, and we decided to stop doing it just because of like we just there's a couple of reasons, but the main one is like, do we want to be good at media buying and good at video ads, or just be like the best at video ads? So we decided to really just be the best at video ads, and then also with a lot of these larger brands. You lose a lot more deals when you're trying to pitch someone on media buying and content, just because a lot of these larger brands, like I said, have established, performance teams, media buying teams in place. But when it comes to video ads, it's a much more hands-on, like we're shooting all our ads in person with actors and stuff like that. Like, that in itself is a business model that, a lot of people like it's taken us 4 years to be able to perfect that model, right? And that system to build out video ads like this. So majority of the brands, like even if they tried, it would take them years and a lot of money, a lot of mistakes and experience to be able to do what we're doing on the video ads side. So we rather just be able to be really good at the video ads. That's our highest leverage thing. And we come in just an extension of their performance team and just focusing solely on performance video ads.
Yeah.
Those big brands, do they have like internal teams for media buying, or like do they have like agencies that they work with, like you, for example?
Yeah, a majority of the big brands that we work with are doing it internally, I would say. Yeah.
So what is like the amount? Because we have heard like there is brands that they are working like with multiple agencies. Let's say 4. What is the most amount of agencies that are involved with a big brand? And how is this like working out, or it's like a mess? How I'm really curious.
So I mean, it definitely determines, like there's different models. Like for example, like Blissy, like we're working with Blissy. We have been for a long time, and we work with them. They work with Tube Science, and then they have an internal team. But their internal team is probably the lowest volume. No, maybe. I mean, they do a lot of internal stuff too. But like that example there, there's 3 different people that are forcing it. And then like Rise, for example, at the beginning tested a lot of other agencies, but right now it's just us and them. So it's VisCap and Rise internal team that's doing Rise internal video ads. They might be they test new video partners, like for especially on the higher quality production ads, because we don't really focus on that stuff. So there might be some other agencies like in that mix and stuff too that we just don't work closely with. But main thing there is from the past 2 years when we scaled that up, it's just been us and them. So I mean, I think it comes down to the strategy of like the founder, the person running the brand. I think either one can work. I think the competition is good when you're having either internal team or an agency or multiple agencies battling against each other and stuff like that. I think that just drives more and more success like in the account and better quality ads in general. So does that answer your question?
Yes.
Another thing that I would like to ask, it's something that I know because I already asked you and Cody on the mastermind how much do you charge, but for the people that are seeing the podcast right now and they don't have a clue how much you charge per video, like can you share the pricing model that you have right now, and like what businesses do you work with, like at a minimum?
Yeah, so I mean, you could definitely, there's different ways to do it. But our business model is the retainer model, where essentially we charge X amount based on what the costs are, or the estimated costs that we have. We have this whole calculator built out where we're able to estimate like how much a project is going to cost, because it changes if you're shooting, mushroom coffee versus having to rent a car or something and doing car stuff, right? There's more costs associated with it. So the price per video definitely ranges anywhere from $1,000 up to $2,000, depending on what the product is and stuff like that. So they're definitely more expensive than what you're, doing when it comes to, using UGC creators and stuff like that because we're shooting a lot of stuff in person. So I like to look at it as not really even being comparable just because of the hit rate that we're able to achieve in most brands is much higher than what you'd be doing with UGC creators. So plus we have a lot of authority where, we have a lot of brands that we're able to work with. So us being able to sell those higher ticket, video costs are a little bit easier and stuff. So yeah, our retainers go from like, $10,000 a month all the way up to, $100,000 a month. So we're in that range, but would I recommend for an agency just starting off to do it that way? Probably not. Honestly, probably the better route to go, because really like you're looking for deal flow at the beginning. You need deals to get your foot in the door with brands, to get deals going and stuff like that. I would probably look at, a retainer model with a percentage of ad spend where you're getting like a base retainer plus a percentage of spend. That's way you're like covering your costs, maybe making a little bit of money, but there's a ton of upside. And if it actually does perform and stuff like that, you'll probably get more deals that way than trying to, cause like when it comes to actual video ads, like the video ads we're creating, we're probably the most expensive in the marketplace, but like it's not a problem for us to close those types of deals. But for someone who's just starting off, it's going to be much harder to do it that way, if that makes sense.
Yes, and for a brand, for example, to work you with a brand, how much money on the minimum level you will charge, and how much he has to make on a monthly basis in order to start working with him? Because maybe he believes like just with the minimum retainer that you have, you can create like 2-3 pieces of content that can skyrocket his business.
Yeah. So we have different offers now. So our like core offer, our high ticket, like done for you offer is the retainers and stuff like that. But we're more leaning towards really just, focusing on that being like, us just working with only the big brands over there. We'll still work with smaller brands there. Typically it starts around $10,000 a month and it goes up from there. And for that to make sense, like you probably have to be spending around, at least $200,000 a month, I would probably say. But now we have another offer, that is getting much, much more popular where we're actually coming into brands and agencies as well. And we're essentially, making, a handful of ads, like, 1 or 2 ads for them. We're doing them for them. And then at the same time, we're giving them all of our systems, our SOPs, and we're helping them build up their internal team using our systems. So that's obviously much more cost effective for these smaller brands. And it's been something that's much more popular in the past couple months too. The main reason, because like, let me ask you guys this, like, why do brands work with agencies? Like, what is the main reason why brands work with agencies?
Because they don't have the process, yeah.
Exactly, and the experience and the oversight on multiple different accounts that are doing well and stuff. So if you're able to replicate that same exact experience or that same benefit for a brand without having to pay, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month, and they can do it on their own, that's a whole nother like model, right? So that's the new thing that we're doing is like we're coming into brands. Essentially all the IP that we have, the reason that brands work with us in the first place, they can get access to all that without having to do done for you content on these crazy, high retainer deals.
Yeah, and here you are like, because I saw like you are building a software, VisCap.ai. You're gonna integrate your software on this like offer that you are doing, so they can use your software, for example, for this.
Yeah. Yeah, so I lost you for a second there, but I think I know what you're asking. You're asking about VisCap AI. So yes, VisCap AI is essentially the ascension, and then also the thing that's holding like our process. So right now it's an internal tool that we're using with, the brands that we're working with and the brands that we're working with are also using it on their own. But it's essentially going to be like a full scale, like project management. It's pulling the data from Facebook, all these places, and you're able to make video variations in there. And you also store all your files in there. And then, but yeah, VisCap AI is our end goal, right? We want to, transform into a software company at the end of the day. So like doing this, mid-ticket like info product where we're able to, give people our systems and stuff like that and have people operating on the same thing we operate on makes VisCap AI the perfect solution for them to actually, be able to use in their business, which, is like the long-term solution. So yeah, VisCap AI is the biggest focus. It's just building a software is it's a lot of work.
Yes. So right
It is
now
hard.
you use it just internally, not you're not selling it outside, right?
We are.
You are.
So we use it internally. So it's just not like a front end, like kind of like so if someone goes to VisCap AI right now, like that version of the software is a stripped down version of it. Like to get access to the back end, the enterprise version of ours, like it's mainly just for select brands, just because it's still heavy lifting. Like like you can't just hop onto the tool and start using it on your own right away. Like you have to have the system in place to be able to use it efficiently. But when you do have that system in place, you can save, 30 to 40% time when it comes to, making videos and stuff like that and the whole process. So it's efficient if you know how to use it.
Yeah. And for that info product, because it sounds really really interesting to me, as we are like in the same like as media buyers. Like if we want, like for example, for my store, as example for my e-commerce store, it would be amazing if I had like a process of hiring like creators, like you said, or for the media buying things.
Yeah.
Like have this process. So for that info product, which like has also the AI, the software, how much do you charge? Like, do you have a retainer? Like how the like the structure is at the moment?
Yeah, so it's a one-time fee. The price ranges based on, different, like what's included inside of it. Like typically, like we could do the software. We can have, another thing that we're starting to do is, actual recruiting finding creative strategists for brands and agencies and then, essentially placing them into the organization, which helps speeds up the process a ton versus like you guys doing all the hiring and stuff. So all that plays into different variables and stuff. So, it's definitely like everything's really customized. So to give you a price right now on that, like it wouldn't really, make sense, but it's definitely more cost effective than going the full done for you retainer route because like we're not marking up the services that have our margin on it. You're essentially just getting everything at cost because you're the ones building it out. Right. So.
Okay, good.
But we can talk more about it,
Yes.
and figure out exactly where you guys are, and then figure out build out something that's custom for you guys that fits exactly what you guys would need.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to go back a little bit and talk a little bit about your services. I want to understand, like, for the videos and creatives that you are creating, because I like a lot the idea what you are doing. Like you are hiring like actors, and this like when I listen to this to your to the mastermind, we talked with John and we said like it makes sense. The actor is also like, if we are gonna do here in Greece, for example, for his brand, is cheaper the actor from a micro influencer who is gonna charge a lot, for example, because the actor he wants like to level up his career, right? So he's not gonna charge a lot. So it's a really great idea that you're doing it with the actors. When you crack the code for a brand and the ads are hitting, what kind of scale are we talking? Can you share like a crazy example where the results like blew out and the one creative was working for like long time? Do you have any example?
Yeah, like not specifics, but I can give you like ballparks and stuff like that. Especially with it being public and stuff. But like, definitely like, multiple millions of dollars of ad spend supported on like a single ad is like, a huge determination of if an ad's winner or not. So like if you look back at our presentation, like there's different frameworks that we presented on, and essentially for a framework to be a winning framework, it has to support at least $500,000 in ad spend, for it to be a winner. And that's across multiple brands and stuff like that. So essentially like our best ads that we've ever created, we're pushing, close to 8 figures at ad spend. and stuff like that before it dies out. Also, like, ads like that have supported spend for multiple, 6 to 12 months and stuff like that. So I mean, that's what we're looking for when we're, creating ads is, to get an ad that you can support a lot of spend and support that amount of spend for a long time, right?
Yes. So there is no because we have seen ads running and spending like $10,000 for clients, and they think like, oh, there is creative fatigue. I wanted to listen to your answer because there is no creative fatigue when you spend that less money. Just you don't have a really good creative. So a really good creative can run like for a long time and with a huge amount of spend behind, as you are saying.
Yeah, no, it definitely comes down to like, the actual creative, which is like, there's a lot of other variables too, for sure, with Facebook specifically, but like when it comes to the video ad, like a lot of people see ads die off or hit fatigue when, it's just like, a TikTok trend that they're just, or an organic video that they're just running as an ad, right? It's not actually an ad. But when you create direct response designed ads and they got a little bit more like meat behind them, right? They go heavier into the problem, like they're full funnel ads that can sell to unaware, problem aware, and solution aware audiences. Like you're able to, tap into different buckets, and get a lot more scale out of those, right? But there's also the other point too. Like, yeah, the creative fatigue thing is a huge thing that a lot of people talk about. My friend Mayor, he actually spoke at the Elite event too, and he's probably running the most scale personally himself. Like he's doing all the work himself more than anyone I know. Like he mentioned in the presentation, he's spending $200,000 a day of his own money. And we talk a lot about this too. And, a lot of people, think they should be making more creatives than they actually need to be making and stuff like that. Like, and you should only really be, creating the amount that you could actually test. So a lot of people think they should be testing, hundreds of ads a month, but they're only spending, a couple $100,000 a month, right? It's impossible to test that many ads. If you're only spending, your testing budget is only, $100,000 or something like that a month. It's just impossible. Like you're not actually able to test all of those unique amount of creatives and stuff. So definitely like volume is important. But it's not at the same time. Like the quality and being able to test things efficiently and effectively, is definitely the most important thing.
Yeah. And how much money do you think like is okay for testing? Like, okay, this ad is not working. Like, let's throw it away. What is the process around that?
Yeah, I mean, it's different for every brand. Like to say a number, like, it's just not, the way to say it. Like I think it's more or less like the stop loss, the amount of risk that you're willing to take and the amount of risk that you can take, when testing an ad, right? So if you have a higher budget, a bigger budget to test things, you have more risk and you're able to, test more of those ads. Cause I mean, we've all seen it where, maybe attribution is delayed or something like that. And you test an ad and then you kill the ad. And then 2 days later, the ad has like a fucking like 5x ROAS or something like that. And you're like, shit, well, I should have left that on, right? But, if you have higher testing budgets, you're able to run that ad longer and put more spend behind it before you have to kill it. So I mean, like, but you only have that if you have more budget. So it's the same thing as like gambling, right? Like the higher the bankroll you have, probably the more successful that you're going to be. So the higher the testing budget, the more successful you're going to be, the more risky you can be as well, right? So I mean, I would say probably at least a couple times the CPA, the target CPA that you're looking for, like 3, 4x the CPA, I think is a safe place to be probably. You could definitely go lower than that too, but yeah, it's totally dependent on, the brand. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I will
definitely.
agree
Like
with what you are saying.
yeah, this is the question that I want to ask. Like, like based on the CPA, like you can assume like, okay, like I spent like $300 for a product that costs like the average order value is 30. Like, okay, I can kill it.
Yeah.
And yeah, So it definitely makes sense. And another like last thing that I want to ask about the creatives, like, and then we can like do the last question as well. Like, I want to ask, like, when you create like some new creatives, there is a process. Like many people have worked with in the past, like because with my commerce store, I have worked with another agency in the past, and they just provide like 5 videos, like I didn't know any better at the time. Like they provide like one like video with 5 different opening hooks, which for me, like, it doesn't make any sense, because like to my mind, a winning angle is a winning angle. A losing angle is always a losing angle. So I would definitely like prefer like 5 different angles and then iterate on the winning one. Like, what's your thought process around that?
Yeah, no, for sure. So, I mean, right off the bat, the goal is to test, cast a wide net of different angles. Like, if the budget is there, like we want to be testing a minimum of like 5 angles right off the bat. And typically, like within that, like we are generally like testing like 3-ish hooks probably in there, variations. Usually like if we have ads that are already working, we're testing, the top performing hook and maybe a hook from another ad, and then also like the current hook. With some of our partners, we don't test any hooks, additional hooks, just a one hook too. It really depends, but with a new brand, when you're starting off, like the idea is that you want to get wins right off the bat. So, having just a shitty hook in front of a good ad is a thing that can happen. So you could have a good ad, but it's just a bad hook, right? So we want to limit that risk as much as possible, especially at the beginning, by making sure that, we're testing like a handful of hooks, if it's possible. But our intentions are always to try to put more of the budget that we have behind new creatives, as frequently as possible. So, doing this scenario where we're just testing, one angle with multiple variations, like, I mean, typically the hook variations don't cost more to do. So it's not like we can just take away hook variations and make more angles. The problem is that, the budget is probably just too low where we can't really test more than one angle. But I mean, we probably just wouldn't do a deal where we're just testing one angle. Like, we probably wouldn't work with somebody like that. Like, we typically want to be testing a minimum of like 3. 5 is like our target. More than that is better, 10, 20 and stuff like that. But yeah, below 3, like we wouldn't even probably touch something like that.
Yeah, in the presentation that you did, you added like a lot of quick iterations that you can do. Like for example, the hook, the early CTAs, the offer. For example, like the subtle product intro and stuff. So yeah, this is what I remember. But out of all of this, like, which is the most important one? Like, do you think like it is the hook? It is the early CTAs? Like, what is the most important like iteration that can actually make a winning ad losing ad? You see what I'm saying? What is the lever?
Yeah, I would say the hook is probably the most important piece, because typically, like, I mean, if people don't stop and look at the ad, like, they're probably not going to get to the other points of the ad, obviously, because they won't see it. So the hook is probably the biggest variable when it comes to getting more people to watch your ads. So I'd say definitely there. But that's pretty obvious. I think a lot of people know that. So in my opinion, once you have a winning ad, the highest leverage thing for you to do is, building iterations of that ad out with other top performing actors. So a lot of people too, like, think they should test tons of different creators, tons of actors. Like, that's important if you don't have a lot of data. But for us, like, we have, a book of like 3,000 actors here in Vegas. So we have, which ones are ranked based on performance, which ones have the highest probability of success based in like a certain industry and stuff like that. So even if that actor hasn't acted for that brand in the past, we can, take actors from, the data that we have from our experience and stuff and use that right away. So basically the point, what I'm saying is, like, once you have a winning ad, go and recreate that ad right away with another actor. Typically an actor that has a high probability of success. Or if you're testing new actors, test them with already top performing, proven videos, for scripts, storyboards, all that kind of stuff, because it's an easy way to get, more wins right off the bat.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Like it also makes sense for you, like because you're entering in another account that's probably like spending a lot of money. It's much easier for you to just go inside, see what's working, like and iterate on this thing, just like reinvent the wheel. And then you can actually, after you have like some winning ads, like you can also test more and more angles, different angles for you to actually skyrocket the business.
And it's less about like sharing data across brands, because I mean, like we're not really like doing that at all.
Seriously?
I mean, I think
I didn't expect that.
Well, I mean, like to an extent, right? Like we're not like sharing data directly across, because I mean, like, we don't want to like, share what's working for all of our big partners and stuff like that. It's more about the internal processes that we have and the internal IP that we have that's built around our video ads, right? So the frameworks, the different scripting styles that we're using internally to actually build these things out, the testing in between actors. Like, so there's this whole level of like analysis that we're actually doing beyond what's happening in the ad account. Things that we're just doing inside of like our internal processes, inside of VisCap AI and stuff like that. And that's the biggest piece that we're using across multiple brands, and the biggest piece that we have the most leverage on, because those are like the foundations that we use to build video ads, right?
Yeah, but you teach them though, right? Or you keep some essential parts for you, like, and for how VisCap works, because like you have the info product as well that you teach other people how to do what you're doing.
Yeah, like those systems, like the way that we build video ads, that's a huge part of the info product. But then the other part is like our frameworks, right? So like for a framework to be a winner, like it has to work across multiple different brands and stuff. And then once it's working across multiple different brands, we formally build it into a framework that we start repeatedly using to test things right off the bat, right? So yeah.
Okay, that's great.
So yeah, I have some last questions. I want to move out a little bit from VisCap Media, and to talk a little bit about you. Like you are like 28 years old, right? 28. Yeah. So you are really young. So you have achieved like many people that dream, like making millions per. So you are in a really good level. What's driving you at the moment? What is the goal? Do you want like to exit this company? Do you see it as a really good cash flow business? Like what's your personal motivation?
So I mean, the goal is to definitely, it's always been to sell VisCap and stuff. The question is when, for sure. It's not going to be anytime soon. But definitely more when we get into like the software area and stuff. That's the long-term goal for sure. Now when it comes to like what we're doing in VisCap, like I'm incredibly passionate about like this side of it. Like I've been doing content creation, like making videos, photos, graphic designs since I was like, literally like in middle school. Like that's always been my thing. So what we're doing right now is like what I'm the best at. So the future after VisCap, it's probably going to be in the same service-based business realm. Or software realm and stuff like that. Honestly, I don't know how yet, because, I'm still more focused on VisCap. And maybe us selling VisCap is something that, eventually will change too. I don't know. It's hard to say right now. The goal is to, build VisCap into, the systems and how dialed in everything is that we can be completely removed from it if we want to be. So yeah, I mean, up until we get the software going, I don't really know what is going to be next, but I would say VisCap, is the main thing right now for sure.
Yeah.
That's great. And if not VisCap, what would you be doing? Like if you could start any other business at the moment?
Like if VisCap didn't happen, what would I be doing?
Yeah.
Or So I mean, if I never really got into like ecom or agency or VisCap, like I'd probably be doing pretty much like the same stuff I'm doing that I would be doing now. I'd just be doing it on a smaller scale, to be honest. Because like I said, like before ecom, before VisCap, I was doing photography, videography, product photography, that kind of stuff already. So I mean, I probably would just keep like I'd be doing the same thing I'm doing right now, but the thing that changed everything for us was when we got into ecom, we made all those big connections. It really accelerated the level that we're doing that we're doing it on back then versus now, right? So yeah.
Yes. Okay. That's
Which leads me into like like a lot of people question what they should be doing with their life, or they're hopping around and stuff like that, and I'm a true believer that you should really just focus on the thing that you're the best at, which is exactly what we done. And it's worked out great for us. Other people might have different opinions on it, but I don't think you can go wrong with consistency and just being really good, being the best possible person at just one thing. Like you're gonna be successful eventually, like 100%. As long as like the thing that you're focused on is also like it's high leverage, it's high growth, and there's money in it, right? So like you don't want to be doing like for example, like you don't want to be working on a newspaper or something like that when newspapers are going down in growth. There's not a lot of money in newspapers, and that's it. Like you could be really passionate about it, right? But you're never like there's a very low chance you're going to succeed, right? But if you're in the e-commerce industry or digital marketing, right, a lot of money is there. It's high growth, and if you just get really good at making video ads for e-commerce brands, there's tons of money to make there, right?
Yeah. Also, like Hormoz is saying this, like, where are you working and the time that you are working on something. It's really important. You are right on this.
Yeah, I really liked your advice there, like what you said, but because like it's really important for people to actually focus on a skill, because most people that want to earn money, like they lack this, they lack the skill, as a skill that is actually valuable. So yeah, I really liked what you said. And this is a really good way for us to close the podcast, I think. Is there anything else that you want to say, like anything that you want to share with the world?
So is your audience mainly like established agencies starting off, or like people that are trying to get into it?
E-commerce,
Yeah, we'll have
dropshipping,
freelancers.
and
Yeah.
I think if you're a freelancer, I think right off the bat, you're doing the right thing already. You're trying to develop a skill, and then really, I think the best thing to do from there is just doubling down on it. Building it up bigger and bigger and bigger, trying to get, going to events, in-person events was the thing that took us to the next level. Because a lot of brands and a lot of people like in this digital world aren't willing to do that. Like a lot of people are running paid ads, right? But when it comes to actually speaking on stages and presenting the process like we're doing, there's a handful of them. It's way more competitive running paid ads versus going to events and trying to get speaking gigs, which you don't have to start off with. But freelancer, right off the bat, start going to events specific ones like the Elite Mastermind, like where it's focused on like niche services and stuff like that. And you can go there and sell people on the same thing that you're selling on Upwork, and probably sell it for 2 to 3 times the higher amount, just because you're so niched down. And that leads into the second point, which is niching down. If you're a freelancer, try to niche down as quickly as possible. You don't want to be the person that is the jack of all trades. You don't want to be able to do everything. Even if you can do everything, you want to focus on, the one thing that you're the best at, which for us, at the beginning, like we were doing video ads for all these different shit and stuff like that, but now it's just for e-commerce brands, brands that are spending over, $500,000 a month. So we niched down, and that also allowed us to, rise to the top, the top like 5 so agencies like in that sub niche. And then now we're able to charge more too. So once you already established as a freelancer, start doing those things right away. And I think you can really take your personal service-based business to the next level fairly quickly.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's a really
that's
good advice.
That's an amazing, Okay. Thank you, Tyler, for coming to our podcast. I
Thank you
really
very
enjoyed
much.
the call. Like it was something that I really have to rethink about what you said and about the content creation, which is like a really important part of my e-commerce and the e-commerce business that we like help. Great to have you. Great to meet you. And we're definitely
Yeah,
going to
thank
keep
you.
in touch. Thank you.
That's the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.